Blessings BookTube. Today we're going to participate in SAGALONG. I just missed it last year. I've been waiting almost a year to do this. I'm very excited. I found out about it through Revenant Reads. I think there are a couple other organizers you can find out about on his site. And they're doing two different sagas this year, but they're both super short. I chose to talk about and read and talk about Hrafnkels Saga, which is still in the pagan time, and the second one is set in Christian time, or Christianized, more than Christianized. Anyway, so I chose this one, Hrafnkels Saga, and I'm going to go through it by looking at these proverbs that are sprinkled throughout the, I want to say, 12 chapters. They sort of punctuate it very neatly along various plot points, and I thought it'd be a fun way to discuss this saga. There definitely are spoilers. It's a short saga full of plot, and sort of there's no way sort of around that. So you've had your warning. So Hrafnkels, who is he? He's a rich landowner. He's got a lot of land, and he got a lot of animals, and he needs kids to take care of these animals, and he hires Einar. This is going to set everything in motion. Einar is the son of Thorborn, who's got a bunch of sons, and says, look, Einar, you need to go earn your living. So Einar goes to work for Hrafnkels to take care of his sheep. This story begins with what I would call a rash vow trope, which is the kind of thing where you have a father who vows to kill the first one through the door, and it ends up later being his beloved daughter, this kind of thing. You have these in the Bible and, classic myths as well. And here we have one because Hrafnkels gives a warning to Einar. And the proverb that is over this section is, "No blame is borne by those who warn." So what is this warning? Well, basically, Hrafnkels says, look, you can ride any of the mares, any of the horses, taking care of the sheep, except Freemane. Freemane is his baby. You mustn't ride Freemane. What does Einar do? He rides Freemane. Basically, the other horses run away from him. He rides Freemane to catch up to the other horses. Of course, Hrafnkels people notice that Freemane looks ridden. They tell Hrafnkels, and Hrafnkels was very clear in the warning. He said, if you ride Freemane, I will kill you. So he asks Einar, did you ride Freemane? Einar says yes, and Hrafnkels kills him. So this is going to set in motion the whole suit, or the whole blood feud that's going to fuel the rest of this story. Okay, so now we have Thorborn, wants justice for his son. He goes to, or actually, no, it's not Thorborn. So Einar's brother wants justice for his brother. And he asks Thorborn about it. Thorborn says, look, nobody goes up against, or actually that's right. He gets a deal from Hrafnkels. Hrafnkels actually does seem to regret a little bit, even though he's got no blame for his warning. But he seems to regret a bit because he offers really good terms to Thorborn's family. He offers them land and money and, all kinds of stuff, but they refuse. And Thorborn says, this is stupid to refuse this because nobody who goes up against Hrafnkels wins, right? He's just really powerful. And Samar is the next big character. So is it Avinder, the brother, goes to Samar, and Samar's the cousin. And Samar is, very clever guy, wins his suits. He's well-spoken. And they go to Samar, and Samar basically says the same thing. In fact, the proverb that governs this one is, know one thing, know thyself. So he says, he says, look, we may be in the right, but we don't have the power to win this suit. Nonetheless, they sort of goad him into it, or, they sort of chide him. I don't know if they chide his manhood, probably, or something. And so Samar says, okay. And he's going to bring the suit to the thing. So they go to the thing. Now, the thing that sort of turns this all on its head is Samur falls in with this guy, Hrafnkels. Now, Hrafnkels has gotten real powerful, going off to Constantinople. So here we do have some intimations of these Christian powers at the edge of this thing. And Hrafnkels is very powerful, so when he lends his support to Samur's suit, they actually win. And it's very interesting how this works in the thing, because the way they win is they take it to the thing. Hrafnkels people are not even there, so there's no sort of I guess advance notice or anything like that, and they basically just pack the thing. So they sort of crowd Hrafnkels out. So at the time Hrafnkels people hear about this, they come, they try to get in. They can't even really hear what's happening, let alone get a saying in. And so Samur wins the suit. And Hrafnkels is made outlaw. And so Athelbol, which is the lands of Hrafnkels' lands are given to Samur. No, sorry, that's not yet. So Hrafnkels still has his lands, but he's outlaw. And the problem with that is when you're an outlaw, anyone can kill you legally. You're outlaw. You're beyond the law. But basically, at this point, Hrafnkels is sort of laughing it off because he's still got his land, still got his people, still got his power. He just goes home, basically. Takes his toys and goes home. Takes his ball and goes home. So he goes back to Athelbol. And the proverb over this section is, for evil foes until hard to heed. So basically, there's this thing called wapentake. And what it is that you can get an act of distress against this outlaw. I guess basically like maybe it means legally steal their lands is the way I'm guessing this works. But you have to do it. You have to get them on their own lands. And you have to do it within a fortnight. So within a fortnight of the thing, they have to, go after go after Hrafnkels at Athelbol, at his lands. And this is what Hrafnkels says they have to do. We have to do this now. We got to take this guy down all the way. But Samur doesn't want to. Samur wants to leave well enough alone. But while he's got the support of Hrafnkels, he thinks, all right, let's do this. So they basically run him off his lands. And so now Samur, the Thorbjorn family have the lands. And Hrafnkels sort of sets up nearby. Now Hrafnkels got the Midas touch. The fish come in, the trade with Norway is big. He gets even more rich, more lands, more people, more power than he had before. So something's going to happen. For evil foes till hard to heed. So the proverb over this, I want to say, is life be chose while life there is. And this is Samur's decision to spare Hrafnkels' life. Because Hrafnkels, when they take the lands, when they take Athelbol, Hrafnkels says, we need to kill Hrafnkels, because otherwise, sooner or later, he's going to come for you. But there again, Samur, ever the sort of moderate, he doesn't want to. Moderate voices don't fare well in this time, or in this saga at least. And so, they let him go, and like I said, he rebuilds his forces and powers more than ever. So that's how I interpret life be chose while life there is. It's like you have to act while the getting is good, right? So what happens is Evinder, I want to say. The other Thorborn's other son comes back again. I want to say from Constantinople, and is crossing Hrafnkels' new lands, and Hrafnkels' people get him and kill him. And Samer's people get wind of it. They chase them, but they make it back to Hrafnkels' new place. And before you know it, Hrafnkels attacking Samer back in Athelbol, because Hrafnkels' people say to him, "Look, he's going to come for you now, so you might as well get him first." This proverb is, "Short is the age of overboldness." So sort of, if you overstep yourself, right, you won't survive very long. So sure enough, that's what happens to poor Samer. He's defeated. Hrafnkel does spare his life in return for the way, I guess you could say in that way, Samer was wise in that he did survive it. But he's basically a lowly vassal of Hrafnkel for the rest of this. He's lost his power. He's lost his face. And that's it, basically. The only other thing to say in this piece is that Revenant Reads had mentioned that this is his pagan priest who sort of loses his faith. So Hrafnkel at one point does lose faith. It's when Samer, this is really sort of the other stupid thing that Samer's people did. They burn Hrafnkel's temple and all that, but they kill Freemain. Remember Freemain? They kill Freemain, and this is really makes Hrafnkel mad, right? So at that point he did lose his faith and renounce his faith, but he rapidly, as I said, rebuilds everything, and then eventually gets his original lands back as well. So by the end, I think he's restored in his faith. So I think we could probably safely say. All right. So anything else that I wanted to say about this? Yes. So the last proverb here is, "'Tis not my curse what is common fate," and this basically means nothing ventured, nothing gained, which we can sort of set against one of the one or two of these other sayings in here. So they're not necessarily always internally consistent, but they are always quite interesting, I find. And the way that those sayings are used and deployed, and the way people act on them and when they say them is it's a pretty fun thing to read and find out in this quite short and exciting saga. So I definitely highly recommend you give it a read. So this is Hrafnkels Saga.